I'm Ronnie from Ronnie's Garage in Southern California. So today, what we're going to do, we're going to be focused on a Silver Shadow. This is a 73 Silver Shadow with, I think, 3,200 miles. No, sorry, it is now up to 4,800 miles. It's almost worn out. So this is a pretty rare car to have that low mileage. We're going to do a service. Yes.
I noticed that on the A-arm, while you were putting in that filter, there's some crinkled paint.
Yeah.
Would that be a clue to check the brakes for leaks?
Well, actually, that is. You're right. It's a great statement. And that crinkled paint, just so you know, it normally wouldn't have crinkled unless it had a leak for a long time. When I pulled the accumulators off, it dripped all over the place. The reason this is crinkling is somebody has sprayed it underneath with some cheap paint. So it's a great sign of a brake fluid leak because it's a great paint remover. The cloud canister assembles the same, but it's vertical instead of at an angle. And then the 6-cylinder, I'm going to give you a little hint. That big flat rubber seal, do not touch it, in my opinion. Because first of all, that oil filter on the Silver Cloud 1 is underneath the carburetors. It's really hard to get that seal out and get it back in there square. I typically never change them, to be honest with you. And I just put that canister under there. Silver Cloud 1 or Bentley S1 is really to change the oil filter on, because you have to take that can, which is full of oil, and on the Cloud, which is not what we're doing today, but it has a nut on the top instead of a long bolt through the bottom. So you can't drain the oil out. It's still full of oil, and then you got to kind of work it out without dumping it all over the place. It's not fun. So anyways, the Cloud has got the same. The V8 models are right down here, almost in the same spot. It just points straight down. So while we're in here, one of the things on the checklist is to secure the oil pan bolts. Now, I'm talking about the engine oil pan. There's a couple of them that are hard to get to. If you want to come over here, you can see. There's one way back in the corner there that I've made this special wrench, and these are almost always loose. Let's see what this one does here. No, that one's tight. I like it. Okay, we can get to this other one over here. Now, this one you can see better. Okay, right on. Now I'll get a different wrench to tighten the rest of them. I use a 7/16 swivel with an extension. And I like the long extensions so I can have better leverage on them. That's a swivel there, 7/16 quarter drive. And we'll go ahead and we will, this gets a little blinding sometimes. We'll light it up as we go here. There we go. So as you can see, there's an oil pan bolt. These are 7/16. They're actually quarter 28. Ooh, sorry. We're going to go down and tighten them all so I can see them. These are all good and secure. That one's going to be hard. These like to loosen up. A lot of oil leaks I've fixed on these cars is just a matter of tightening it up. And it reduces it to just a, what do they call that, seepage. So, there's a couple you can't get to. So obviously, if you can't get to it, you can't tighten it. Whoa. One of the hardest things about doing these videos is getting the correct lighting so the camera can see it and I can see it. And typically what happens is it's so much light and it's in the way that I can't get to it. So plus I'm older now and I can't see worth a doggone without lights. Let's see here. Real common ones that to loosen up are at the back. I don't know if you guys can, if you can see in there, you can see that there's a row of them at the back, straight up. See those little bolts with the drips on them? Move your camera over a little bit more. You see them? Okay. Now I got a little trick. What I do, nothing will get in there. What I do is take a pry bar. How you doing, Jeremy? Good? I take a pry bar, and they suck it, and I will pry this over and stick the socket in there temporarily so that I can get my little wrench or socket up in there. So now I can get in there and tighten the other ones. You see it? Let's see, that one took about a quarter turn. I have to come from the other side now. That one was a little loose, real common. Now, I know this because I've done it. Don't forget to take your socket back out. Because if you don't, what'll happen is all of a sudden the engine will sound real noisy because it's directly against the subframe. You'll drive it and you go, what happened? What did I do? Didn't do that before. All those things. Another thing you want to do is on the oil level sender, which is on the, let me get a screwdriver. There is an oil level sender on the side of the block. What this is your fuel gauge duals as an oil level gauge. There's a test button on the dash, and on the fuel gauge, you'll see a little orange line that says min oil. So you can actually check your oil level from inside the car without using the dipstick. And that's what this guy's job is. And these little screws like to loosen up. So these are small screws. I can't see. There we go. Just add a little squish on them. And then this outer part is, if you look at this thing, you can see it's kind of wavy. It's not square, the edge of this. And that's just time, it's pop metal. And just tighten this one. There we go. Just a little squish on them. And that'll help minimize oil leaks. So these are real common places for them to leak. I'll get my pointer now and start showing you other places. It's my magic wand. So you see these little holes on the side of the block. Those are called weep holes, and you can see one of them is weeping there. It's been weeping. It's got a nice little trail. There are 8 of them, 4 on each side, and they are little passages between the crankcase and the cooling system. The cylinders have O-rings on them. The cylinders are cast iron. They slide into an aluminum block. They have 3 O-rings, 2 for the coolant passages, 1 for the crankcase. If you have a leak from these weep holes, it's okay so long as it's oil. It's real normal. What that means is the lower O-ring has dried up and split. So what you're doing is you're getting crankcase fumes, oil, and all that getting pushed out. If you have water coming out of that hole, any one of those holes, it's a bad news deal. That means your cooling system is compromised. And the reason they have these holes on there is to hopefully, when they leak water, drip out of the engine instead of into the oil. You mix water and oil together, and you're going to find lots of metal shavings down the road. Plus, putting all kinds, it's bad news. So the real proper fix, if you have a water leak, is to pull the engine apart, pull the sleeves, clean it up, put new O-rings in it. But a lot of times it's corrosion or cracks, and it's just, it gets worse from there. The key to making sure you don't get leaks in that is to service your cooling system regularly. I say every 2 years. You should flush it and put new coolant and distilled water mixture in there. And that's just to keep the contaminants out What happens is the cooling system is like a battery. So a battery, what they do is they have two dissimilar metals and they put some sort of compound. Now it's a gel, but they used to use water with acid in it, and it creates voltage. So and what happens is when you create voltage, you're going to get corrosion, and metals will sacrifice. That's all chemistry, and it's way over my pay grade. So another place these like to leak, let's see if we can see it on this car, is you can see this has a slight leak. I'm going to get my pointer up there. Is right there. You see this little, it's a rubber piece there. You see it? Oh, this is, I'm glad they can't see this position that we're in. This is the front engine cover, this big piece at the front. It's two pieces. Down the center of it is a split. I don't know why they did it that way, but that's what they did. So in between that split is a rubber, they call it the cat turd, a rubber strip that is glued in there, and it's supposed to seal. After time, that rubber strip gets dry and shrinks, and you start to get the oil leaking. It's a real common problem on these cars all the way up through the Arnages. The fix is to take it apart, put a new strip in there. Well, it's starting to seep. With the leaks, if I don't see puddles on the ground, I don't bother people too much, unless they say, I want you to look at my leaks. I got leaks on my garage.